Hi, I'm Rick Malfainer. Welcome to our first episode of Talk Tonic Insiders Edition, where I'm joined today by Tony Musacchia, Director of Product here at Tonic POS. Tony, can you share a bit about your background and your journey?
Yeah, Rick. So known you now for 20 years or so. Been in the point of sale world close to 20 years now. So started when I was really young, about 22 years old. Company called Dinaware in Seattle. Started in support, worked up to implementation, did a lot of different things there, worked with you a bunch. And about for the past 6 or 7 years or so, been a product manager. Things have been going great. Been here about 6 months as a product manager. Loving every minute of it.
Can you tell me a little bit about the Tonic approach to developing features?
Every time we look at a feature or an enhancement that we want to make, it's important to go over a lot of different checks and balances, whether or not that's partner feedback, industry standards, new market trends, things that we may not have, things that we already know we need to enhance. When those features come to us, we evaluate those, we look at all those different components. And again, we look at solving larger problems. Ultimately, when we need to look to enhance the product, our goal is focused on what problems are we solving with this feature. So that's a big piece to it. And then we go through a really long process from a design standpoint, making sure that we're covering every different area and not missing anything. Also, a big part of that too is communication, working with other folks on the team. So it's a big collaborative effort, but ultimately we're really focused on outcome when it comes to our features.
So Tony, I've been on both sides of the fence. I've been a reseller before. I've been on the ISV side as well. I've been involved in many different products. One of the things that I think is always a challenge in the partner space and just generally in hospitality point of sale is endless feature development. Software companies becoming feature factories and not really having a clear overall strategy or vision for the future with the product, but just relentlessly adding check boxes and features and things like that. Yeah. I know our goal is to try to avoid that. Tell 100%. Me how we do that.
I love that you use the word feature factory because, that is a term that is well known. And it's really easy to do that and get sucked into that. What we don't want to have happen is we don't want our system and our solutions and everything that we offer to be complicated, right? And have too many features. And there is such a thing. So as things come in to us in product, if it is something that we identify that we don't have that feature, or it is something that we need to enhance that's going to make it easier. So let's say it comes in from one of our partners or even one of our merchants, right, that gives us feedback. The first thing that we do is we look at it and we do a bit of a vetting process, right? Because we want to make sure that if they may be used to a feature that comes through that from a different system that they had, we may have that, it just may be different. Right? So like it may be in a different section of, a checkbox somewhere else, right? Versus a checkbox in a different system. So that's the first thing we do is we vet everything out. We talk to different folks on different teams and make sure that we don't already have that feature or that solution that can accomplish whatever problem they're looking to solve. And a lot of times that's the case, right? You go through and you find and say, okay, well, there may be data that you're looking for in a report that could be somewhere else in a different system, but in our system, it's, in this report, right? Like product mix report. There even could be some challenges when it comes to terminology that could be different, right? So that's the most important part, because how you become a feature factory is when you just start like implementing those changes. And then all of a sudden, before you know it, you have like, oh my gosh, we have like 3 features that are all kind of the same thing. And again, that's right. The whole feature factory piece. So vetting out things, making sure that we're communicating on the product side to other folks that may know the answer to things before we decide to implement these features. And then it goes through a process where we actually look at prioritizing them by using a scoring method. It's called the RICE scoring method. It's a pretty standardized method in the world of product. But that helps us really prioritize features after we've identified that this is something that we want to do. And then it kind of goes through the process, right? It goes through or design from the product standpoint, and then kind of works its way through the SDLC. But it's just really, really important to make sure that whatever features come in, that we're vetting them, and then also making sure that it's something valuable and really going to achieve and solve the problem that we're looking to solve.
You alluded to the RICE system for scoring incoming feature requests. I've been made privy to that recently. And it excites me because I've been involved in other products who didn't have something like that in place. Sure, and it was sort of just shoot from the hip. Mm-hmm. So it's very exciting to see that we have a methodology in place for that. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's fantastic. It's something that I was made privy to maybe about 3-4 years ago. And, one of the biggest things when it comes to features, right? There's always, we all have a ton of ideas, right? Our partners have ideas, great ideas. We see different things out there in the industry. And most of the time when these things come through, right? Like, everybody's going to have their kind of opinion on it, and they want it, we need it right away. We definitely have to have this, but there's a methodology into this whole thing that we have to take into account, and that is the time, right? And then also the impact and all these different components. So what the RICE scoring model is, it stands for reach, impact, confidence, and effort, right? And what we did on the product side is we spent about a day or so and we came up with an algorithm for reach and impact and confidence and effort are worth a certain amount of points, right? And we kind of created this really cool algorithm that gives us a score. And every time a feature comes through, we add points to reach. And the example of reach is, what's the overall reach of this feature? Is it something that's going to hit all of our customers, right? A specific verticals or even sub verticals underneath verticals like table serve, fine dining or quick serve, and even down to nightclubs and bars and all those things. That's what you look at as reach, right? So there's some features that are specific for bars but may not work for, I don't know, let's say quick service. So the reach score changes on that. Impact. That's worth the most points. Impact is what's the overall impact, and not just impact for our existing customers, but impact for potential new customers. We add points for impact for our sales team in demoing, right? Our partners on when they go into a potential merchant and they show Tonic, is this feature going to be one of those things that they can't wait to demo? Right? The first thing they want to show. So impact's worth a lot of points, but those are some examples of what that means. Confidence is our overall confidence. Now, a lot of pieces to that. Obviously, feedback and information from our partner channel, internal folks, just industry knowledge. That helps with confidence, but there's also data, right? Data is a big part of what we're looking to do with the product, is really start to implement these data-driven decisions, and that helps us with our confidence. And confidence is associated to reach and impact, right? And effort is just what's the lift, right? Is it something that from the product design side all the way to the development side, is it kind of a small, medium, large type thing? And again, there's a lot of components to this, and I really wanted to touch on it because this helps so much with the prioritization process. And then when you evaluate these things and you think about these things and you put them all in place, you have that score. And that score that we have helps with our prioritization. And then we have our own little sprinkle on top that I guess we added, which is another R. So it's essentially RICER here at Tonic. And it's important to add that other R because that R stands for revenue, right? We want to make sure that we're capturing any potential revenue for a feature that we design. Is this something that's going to increase our revenue? Is it going to help revenue for our partner channel, right? That's an important metric we wanted to capture. So that's our own flavor of RICE, is RICER.
Great to hear we have that in place. That's going to make a big difference. Yeah. Tell me about some experiences where decision-making has faltered in product and led to challenges and problems with product teams.
When you might not have the outcome that you want, a lot of times it's nobody's fault or anything. It's just a lot of times it's a lack of process. I mentioned the RICE scoring model. That really helps, right? But in our industry and in many industries, it's really important to have a nice blend of being reactive and proactive. And it's really easy to fall into that concept of just being reactive, right? So when things come in and you hear things, whether or not it's from a current merchant, a potential customer, a lot of times it's really easy to just react, right? And saying, oh my gosh, we need this feature so we can win this business, right? And things like that. Obviously, we want the business. But a lot of times if you react too much and you implement the feature, it kind of goes back to what I was saying before, right? Where now you may already have that somewhere, and now you have two different checkboxes that kind of do the same thing, right? And then you go through that whole process of, or maybe even catch it at the development side before it gets done. But again, then time's wasted, right? It's really important, and to not completely be reactive, but sometimes we have to. That's what I see a lot, right? Where you're just reacting, and again, when you're doing that, you're not putting the energy into being proactive. And here at Tonic, I mean, that's huge for us, right? I mean, we have a long-term vision, what we want to do with the product, and we want to add things that are going to be so beneficial for our customers, merchants, partners, everybody. But then also we want to look to design and develop things that aren't out there yet, right? I think about it, and there's so many features that don't exist that we want to bring to the market, be first to market with things. And when you're constantly being reactive, it's hard to put energy into that. It's hard to put focus into that. Again, no fault of anybody. It's just, what happens, but you see it so much is just that reactive approach to product.
Ultimately, the thing that I think excites me the most for the partner side of our business, and obviously that's going to carry down to merchants and everybody involved, is seeing what we're building on the product side of the business. Just since joining, I've watched the product side grow, the development side, everything's growing, and ultimately it's process, I think, that is the most exciting thing. I've been involved in way too many technical projects where there was a lot of winging it. There wasn't a lot of process. And that works for so long, and then it gets to be really painful. So tell me your thoughts on that.
I'm glad you mentioned partner, because partners, obviously that's our business model, right? And we're really focused on getting their feedback and working with them to engage, right? When it comes to different features that we're building, enhancements that they're requesting, things that they're seeing in the field, right? I mentioned it before, like communication is huge. So one of the things that we've done here process-wise is we're really focused on engaging with our partner channel on the product level, right? So we've done some things here process-wise that I'm so excited about that I've always thought would be massively beneficial. And that's just being transparent with our partners. You've seen it. We have a roadmap. In product, you always have a roadmap that you kind of outline what it is we're working on right now, and then we plan for the future. And we share that with our partners. We're transparent in that. And when we make updates to it, they get updates to it. And that's something you don't see in this industry. And
you do know
that. No, and I've never seen it. Being partner focused, that's so important for us because, again, it's transparency and communication and getting that information from them. We also engage with them. We have a feature request portal that they can submit their requests, and we can analyze them, communicate back with them, give them status updates. Those are some examples of processes that we've implemented in the last 6 months here. It's been met with really good feedback, and we can't wait to get more feedback from partners. But that's some of the processes that's really going to help separate us for sure, especially with our partners.
Yeah, there's a lot of buzz out there in the partner channel about Tonic for sure. Having just attended RSPA Inspire, a lot of people are talking about Tonic. We're talking Tonic.
Yeah,
they're talking about
right now,
Tonic.
Yeah, for sure.
And so it's an exciting thing. But I think a lot of times there's partner channel, there's the sales fluff and things like that.
Yeah.
But the reality is they don't get the real details about the future roadmap and where we're going with this product. So it's very exciting.
100%, yeah.
How does the product team stay ahead of market trends, and how do you incorporate them into the development process?
We're always looking at what's going on out there, right? And it's not just us, though. Again, I was talking about communication. It's really collaborating with everybody on the team, but not just our team, right? Our partners, other folks that go out to trade shows, right? We look at what's out there. What are some of the trends? Our own research, a lot of those pieces. But at the end of the day, when it comes to product, one of the things that we really do on our side is it's so important for us to just listen. We all have ideas, and we have ideas based off of all these metrics and what we see out there. But sometimes it's important for us to listen. And a lot of times what we see in the market, we just need to listen to what's going on, right? And observe what's going on. That's kind of how we try to stay ahead of things. But then also sometimes what we see what's happening out there could lead us to things that don't exist yet. Right. So if we see, a solution out there, maybe at a trade show, or we see like a theme or a trend that's occurring, maybe in a specific vertical or just in point of sale entirely, or maybe on the payment side, you don't just look at that and say, oh, well, we need to implement exactly that into the product, right? You look at it, you evaluate it, you talk to other folks, you listen to the industry, and maybe you can enhance that, right? So you're not just doing something that's already out there. That's how we kind of just try to stay ahead of the trends. But there's a lot that goes into it. Again, listening. That's everything on the product side. That's what we do. We listen to as much information as we can, and then that's ultimately how we try to make decisions.
I think that's a great strategy, because one of the things you see out there is everything that comes along, whether it's cryptocurrency or AI, everybody wants to take that and bring it into their product immediately. Yeah. And they're more concerned about AI for AI's sake as opposed to what can we really do with this?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And you see that a lot, right? And a lot of these things are important, right? They're big. They wouldn't be, the trend like AI and things like that you wouldn't see out there. But that's obviously a big trend that we're currently working on right now and we're looking to implement. But we want to do it in our own way as well, right? Because again, here at Tonic, all the experience that we have here, the communication with our partners that have all their experience, that is critical for us, right? And we can get that information, and then we have that advantage to be able to look at something like AI and use AI to solve true problems that exist in the restaurant, right? And then also maybe, using that technology to solve guest-facing issues, right? Where the restaurants are going to be concerned about, functionality, maybe even using AI that affect their guests. The knowledge that we have here really helps us get past that, to your point, right? Where we're not just implementing AI so we can just check the box, right? We want to implement it so we're providing actual real value to our partners and ultimately our merchants.
So, Tony, your side of the business here at Tonic is the product side, and by virtue of that, the development and that kind of thing. It's no secret that we are a point of sale and payments company, right? And we are asking our partners to board their payments on Bold, right? And when we first bring that to the market, a lot of them say, listen, I'm looking for a product that's processor agnostic, right? Because I want to sell my own payments. I want to take all of that revenue, and you're just a POS company. You should stay in your lane. And the thing that's become interesting about this is I've had several partners say to me, listen, I understand that the next point of sale I work with is going to be a payments play as well. It's where the market's going. But I like to illustrate the fact that the other point of sale companies that go to market agnostic, they're missing that little bit of revenue, right? We're giving our partners the lion's share of the payment processing revenue, but that little bit that we put toward this side of the business is ultimately what's going to make the product for the next 10 years, right? It's going to give these partners a great product out in the marketplace to go to market with. And so I think maybe just, you've been involved in several businesses that, some are payments and some are not. But just your thoughts on being able to fund the development and the product side of the business with having that versus not.
Oh, it's huge. It's massively important. I've been on the other end, like you said, I've been on the other end where that doesn't exist, right? So being able to have and fund those resources on the products, on the development side, on the side that really affects the software, with how we're currently set up with Tonic right now, like we have that funding, and I've been on the other end, and again, it's more challenging, right, to be able to get those resources that you need. But again, that focus and that energy and that it's coming back onto the software side of things as well. And we're already seeing that growth. You mentioned it earlier, right? You've seen that, in the short time that we've both been here, we've seen that growth, and everybody's seen that growth. So that's massively important. I couldn't agree more with what you said. Yeah, 100%.
I'm excited by it because it is a little bit of a different business model, but at the end of the day, if you only have two developers, a product can only go so far, or if you only have two people in product.
Absolutely.
And so I think we're building an amazing team.
Yeah, and we're growing the products team too, right? Shoot for the stars, land on the moon, man. So
absolutely. Great stuff. For a software company, what metrics or outcomes do you look at to understand success?
So first off, when we go back to what I was saying before, right? When you have and you're building your roadmaps and you're designing your features and you're gathering all that evidence and data, those checks and balances, right, on how you score things, that's really going to help you measure your success ultimately, because if those checks and balances are in place and you have those processes, by the time when you release a feature, right, most of the time, or hopefully most of the time, you achieve those success metrics that you've originally put in place. But that being said, sometimes surprises happen. Sometimes things are different. Maybe things change in priority. So what we do on the Tonic side and what we're going to continue to do as we build the team is after we evaluate a feature, we design it, goes through that entire development process, we get it out there, depending on what it is. A lot of times we'll expose that internally to folks, maybe in like a beta, like almost like not really a beta, but kind of testing it out before it goes to beta. If it's a large enough feature, sometimes we'll get that out to our partners directly, and they can test it out and be able to look at it, give us feedback. What that does is that initially, before we put it out to production and we get it out there in the real world, we're getting that feedback as the feature is developed and it's designed. So you can measure success that way. But ultimately, another piece that we're building in is retrospectives, right? That's a really important thing, is after we release a feature, even if it's small, is to look at it, get with the development teams, get with Rick, you and your team, the partner success team, everybody that is dealing directly with merchants and partners, and just have a retrospective. Did this get done in the time we wanted it to get done? Does it achieve what we wanted it to achieve? Did it, in fact, does it feel like it's going to reach that RICE score, right? And some of the metrics that we put there. So it's really important, retrospectives, beta, getting it out there, getting feedback before we just immediately kind of push it out there to all of our merchants is how we ultimately kind of measure the success.
Looking forward, how is the product team working to ensure they continue to deliver meaningful value to partners?
Engagement is everything, and that's what we're doing, and we're going to consistently evolve that. So like I mentioned, we're working directly with our partners. We're exposing them to our roadmap, things like that, meeting with them on a regular basis. But as time goes on, things may change there, right? We need to meet with them differently in some way, shape, or form, or meet with them in person, for example, right? Include them in different beta programs, things like that. We're constantly going to evolve based on what we see as we release things out there into the wild, so to speak. So that is, again, our focus, right? Our focus is our partners and our resellers of our product. And I couldn't tell you you obviously know this, how important it is to us to engage with them. So it all boils down to engagement, and that's going to continually change as time goes on.
Well, Tony, it's been a pleasure sitting with you here today to talk about Tonic and the product team.
Yeah, thanks, Rick.
Thank you for joining us today on Talk Tonic Insiders Edition.